guys, welcome to Super Belle Sews. My name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. I'm here for a quick update on how my honeymoon wardrobe has been going. I've made 3 new garments. One isn't 100% finished, but it's enough that I can sort of show you. Out of those, 2 are new to me patterns, and 1 is a tried and tested Old Faithful. And yeah, I just thought I'd update you. So hopefully I will have roughly-ish once a week. I'll have a few items to update you on. As I explained in my last video, I'm not planning on taking photos in any of these until we're actually away for our honeymoon. So I've just got pictures on the hanger to give you an idea, but there will eventually be pictures, and I'll do a post-honeymoon, sort of roundup vlog once I've been able to actually wear everything and see what really worked and maybe what didn't and stuff like that. So what have I been making? The tried and tested pattern was a Style Arc Belle dress. Now, this is my 3rd one, I think. As I said before, the pattern itself is beautifully drafted, so many nice design details, but the instructions are a bit of a faff. This time, I did have the benefit for the bodice of, I'm in a WhatsApp group called the Curvy Coven, which is made up of lots of curvy sewists, and the amazing Bex in that group has sort of streamlined the instructions for putting the bodice together, because for the month of September, all of us are, well, not all of us, but many of us in the group are sewing the Belle dress all together, and that fit in really nicely with my plans. And the bodice construction instructions are a little bit obtuse, I would say, and Bex has done a really amazing, clear set of instructions, so I used that, which made putting everything together much easier, and just a more enjoyable process. Now, the versions I've made before, the first one was in a stretch crinkle viscose, which was an absolute nightmare to work with, but I still love the final dress. I've shared pictures of it on here before, but it was in a nice checked fabric, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then my favourite one was in this white broderie on glaze, which just is a beautiful dress. I've worn it loads. I really love it. I do find with the Belle, the neckline is just a bit too low for me, and I haven't worked out a way to correct that without sort of ruining the line. So that's something I need to think about, or I don't know if I just have to accept it and then maybe just wear different underwear. Don't know. So that is one thing with that dress that I've not quite worked out how to make it not indecent. You can add buttons further up. Also, previously I've sometimes just added a stitch when I'm wearing it, so I just sew myself into it when I'm wearing it. But yeah, I don't like, I think having that elongated neckline looks good in terms of proportions, but it's just got a lot of boob there, so gotta work that out. Anyway, I decided with this that I wanted to use a fabric that was quite neutral. So I love prints, colours, all of this, but I'm also trying to sort of pull together a slightly more curated wardrobe. And I've made plenty of really bright things for the honeymoon, but I wanted something a bit more muted. So I'll pop a picture here of the dress. I used it making this blue striped cotton shirting fabric from Sew Me Sunshine, and then these gorgeous little gold buttons. They actually came from a bag of gold buttons that I purchased from Fabricland in Kingston about 2 years ago, and it was something like £1 for the whole bag, or £1.50 for the whole bag. And it has a whole selection in, but I thought these, they're metal look, but they're not actually metal, but they add sort of a luxe vibe to the shirt dress, whereas I think it was between that or sort of plain white shirt buttons, but I just thought that these sort of elevated it but still keep the look quite understated. So that's what I went for, and I think the dress is gorgeous. I'm really pleased with it. It is, as I said, it's always a slightly more involved project, so I would keep that in mind. But I also think that once you get the fit of it right and you understand the process, you can make yourself a really beautiful dress. And it also reflects a lot of dresses on the high street. Like this silhouette is really popular this year. So I'm really pleased with that. I also personally really like the shared sleeves. There's been some discussion on this WhatsApp group about who likes the sleeves and who doesn't. And I really like those sleeves. I don't know why, particularly. I just think it's cute with the little puff. I think it's cute. So yes, would highly recommend. I sort of knew I would love it because the fabric, you can't really go wrong, and the pattern I know I liked and I like wearing. And actually the Belle dress is the dress that Nathan said he liked most on me. So he didn't know obviously what it was called, but when I was starting to plan stuff for the honeymoon, he said, oh, you know the dress, the white one with the wooden buttons, he was like, that's my favourite dress on you. So I thought, oh, I'll make another one to take away. So that was one of the things I finished. The new to me patterns, one of them, as I said before, I really have to thank some of you for. It is the Pattern Emporium Ocean Daze shirt. I was looking for an oversized shirt for this Ralph Lauren Deadstock seersucker fabric, and a few of you mentioned this pattern, and it was perfect. So thank you so much for suggesting it. Again, I'll pop a little picture here. I've kept this really simple in that I've just gone for white buttons, just plain. And it's a very classic shirt shape. I've made one other Pattern Emporium pattern before, and one thing I'll say is their instructions are really, really thorough and really clear. They have loads of pictures of every step. So I actually sometimes found with this, because I've made a few shirts before, like different shirts, I sometimes found that there were too detailed, the instructions. But obviously that's for me when I've made a few shirts, so I sort of know roughly how I want the construction to go at this stage. But yeah, the instructions I just think are really clear. The images are some of the most clear that I've seen in any instructions. Because you sometimes get to that point in a pattern where you think, where you sort of second guess how you're putting something together and that the picture's just not in quite the right place. And with this, I feel like that's not the case. So yeah, really love it. Fit when I put it on is really good. Obviously it's an oversized fit, but I feel like it looks good sort of oversized, not just like a sack. You have a couple of options with the hem, which is either to have sort of a straight hem, or there's one where it's curved, so it dips down at the front and then up at the sides and then down at the back. I went for that because I think it gives a bit more shape when it's loose. I'm quite short, so I think it's good to sort of have a bit of like movement, especially when I'm not going to have a top tucked in or a belt or something. But yeah, the construction of this was really straightforward, actually. It was, as shirts go, I thought it was quite easy to do, partly because the instructions were so clear, and it just gives a very crisp, clean finish. So when I say this is exactly what I was looking for, it really was exactly the pattern I was after. So thank you to everyone who suggested it, because it's just exactly what I wanted that fabric for. The fabric behaved really well, actually. It was pretty stable. I always wonder with those textured fabrics how they're going to do with things like pressing and stuff like that. But it obviously, I think is it heat treated, or they're chemically given that texture? I don't know how they do it, but it kept the texture as I pressed it as it went, so it wasn't difficult to work with from that perspective. This is a dead stock fabric. I have seen it in a couple of places though, so just keep your eyes peeled if you like it, because again, I think it's got the quirkiness of the dogs and the anchors, but it looks quite classic. So it sort of can be a basic, but it's just got a little something about it. Now, the latest fabric I'm working on that is almost but not quite finished, although this part of it is finished, is the Marblehead swim sets you can make. So you can either make a bikini or a tankini. I have made the tankini. So I've finished the top, which is here, which I'm going to show you in a second. I haven't quite finished the bottoms yet. They are sort of together. I need to put all the elastic in basically and just finish them off, but they're almost there. So let me first of all show it to you on the hanger. Here we go. So this is using Liberty, my lovely Liberty fabric. And this is, I can't remember if this is a Liberty plain as well. I'm not sure. They're both from Fabric Godmother anyway. And I think, first of all, I think it looks really nice. If you don't know much about this pattern already, you'll see it doesn't have an opening at the back, which for a pattern with a bit of like a bra vibe and a Cashmerette pattern is quite unusual. But the opening is actually under this, so it ties up at the front, and then there's an option for an extra fastening here, which I have a little clasp. And yeah, I think it looks really nice. It's a little bit fiddly, some of the construction, although it actually wasn't as bad as I thought. It didn't help. My machine did not love this fabric, the plain Liberty fabric. So it was fine when I was sewing through double layers, but when I was sewing together these parts, the outer layer basically, my machine was really quite struggling. So that didn't help in the fiddliness because I kept having to re-thread it. But the construction was really pleasing. It actually came together more quickly than I thought. The way, in terms of sizing, it's a bit tricky because basically there's a different file for every back size and then cup size, and then it's just a bit complicated. So you sort of have to commit, you have to very much commit to like, this is the size I'm making. And I'm not 100% sure if I feel like my cup overfloweth somewhat. And I measured really meticulously, like I re-measured myself to pick from the chart because I was a bit nervous. But then I looked in the mirror and it didn't look like it was too small, but I just feel a bit, I don't know. So I need to play around with it a bit, with wearing it a bit, I think, once I finish the bottoms and just sort of take a look at how everything's sitting. Really comfy, really easy to get on. I normally don't like front fastening bras and things because, again, I just find there's too much to get in the way. But getting it on and off was really, really easy. The fabric as well, I didn't use any power mesh or anything in the end. But I feel like the fabric sort of holds its shape nicely and everything. There's enough support. I did miss out one step, which is you're supposed to put, I don't actually know where in the construction it goes. I think maybe down this front bit here, a little bit of boning in on either side at the front. And again, my machine just wasn't having it. And so I messaged again in my Curvy Coven group. And some people who had made the pattern already said that they didn't, that some of them had omitted it, the boning, and it had been fine. So I just decided to leave it. But yeah, I mean, I think as someone who's struggled to find nice swimwear, I think this is a good starting point. I think I need to play around with the fit a little bit. I think I need to play around with the idea of the extra fastenings, thinking about if I can slightly play with the positioning to make the fit a bit better. So those are all things for me to experiment with, but I'm really excited to wear it. I think it looks really cute. And I'm glad to have finally taken the plunge with sewing swimwear. I think Cashmerette is always the best place, especially if you've got curves. It's their starting point for the fitting. Like, there are tweaks to be made, but their starting point is always pretty good. And the fit in the shoulders and everything is great. And I don't, as I said, like, everything's contained. I just don't necessarily, it feels, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like there was a lot of boob. But, maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? I mean, it's my honeymoon. If you can't have a lot of boob on your honeymoon, then when can you? So, yeah, so that's just something for me to suss out. Now, those are my things I've made this week. I am loving the productivity, honestly. Getting 3 things made a week is just, I mean, the house is a mess and I'm not sleeping that much. But other than that, having the time for my life, to be honest. I've got a bit of a plan for the rest of the week. So I'm going to finish off. I've got about an hour now before I've got to go back out. So I'm just back from work. I thought I'd film this for you. And then I've got about an hour. So I'm hoping I might be able to finish the Marblehead bottoms off. They come in a mid-rise and a high-rise. I went for the high-rise, and the fit for those seems pretty good. I do think, I look at them and I'm like, those look absolutely enormous. Like, compared to the size of the pants that I wear, I'm like, they look huge, but then you put them on and they fit really nicely, so there you go. But I just don't understand how my day-to-day ready-to-wear pants look so much smaller. It's weird. Anyway, but that's coming together nicely, so I'm going to finish those. Making a shirt for Nathan, which I've already spoken to you about. And then I have an Upton that I'm planning based on this dress I talked about, this polka dot dress I talked about the other day. That's cut out. The bodice is cut out anyway. So I'm going to make that up. Just check the fit's good before I cut into my Majolica fabrics. And then what was the other one on the list this week? I think it was my Winslows. I'm hoping to make my Winslow clots, which are in a sort of blue chambray. So they're more of a staple item. So yeah, I've got a few things to be getting on with, but I've set myself, as I said, targets each week for what I want to plan and make, and I'm just sewing every spare minute I've got, which is why the filming schedule has been a little bit off. Anyway, that's the update from me. I will be back with a quick vlog at the weekend for Project Dress a Girl, which I've been asked to make a video for, and who knows, I might have an update even before then. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you later. Bye.